everybody. I'm very happy to have Molly Muse on the show today. Molly Muse, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
It is a pleasure. Molly Muse is a talented filmmaker, writer, director. She's currently producing her first feature. She's deep into filmmaking. And today we're going to be talking about her short Ghost Town, which you wrote. And what else you doing?
I co-wrote, I directed, and I acted in it
Yes.
and produced it.
Yes, like most of us who rake our own films do, which is awesome. And that's why, I love introducing everybody as a filmmaker. That's just so leveling, and that's what we're doing. We're storytellers in the context of the media of film. So, Molly, can you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, however you'd like to, and then set up your film?
Absolutely. I started as an actor, fell in love with theater when I was a young child, studied all through college, and then I got to act in my first feature film right after college, Birds of Neptune, and that introduced me to the world of film. I was really excited by the film crew, the set, so many moving pieces, and wanted to be a part of that. And I produced my first film was a documentary project about filmmaking around the world called Jump the Fence, and that's kind of how I got into film. And then since then, I've done some narrative shorts and I just did a docu-series about traditional cheese making in the Alps. That's in
Oh,
post-production now, and now I am in pre-production for a Christmas movie that we're shooting a week from now, called Christmas Pop-Up. So I'm now a full-time filmmaker and yes, have my hand in all the pots, producing, writing, directing, sometimes acting. Yeah, and then Ghost Town. I wrote with my dear friend Britt Harris, who's been a creative partner of mine for many years. We started Paper Palace Productions together, and we were inspired by the place. So it takes place in America's largest ghost town, Bodie State Historic Park in
amazing.
California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to
Bodie
get a
State.
permit. Bodie State Historic Park.
Ooh, it's interesting that it's named Bodie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me
Bodhi,
more.
well, Bodhi, I don't know if the spelling is the same, but Bodhi in Sanskrit means awakening or enlightenment. Bodhisattva, the awakened one. That,
Aha. We have
yeah.
a Bodhi beer here in in Seattle, Bodhisattva.
Okay, well, you got that. Yeah. Well, that definitely comes from that.
Yeah. I don't know. It was traditionally like famously a godless place. It was like a gold
Mm,
mining town,
mm,
gold rush town, and then the gold kind of ran out and there was a fire and a lot of things kind of happened at once and everybody left the town in a very sudden manner.
mhm.
So it's a very interesting place to visit because tables are still set for dinner. There's ho coats hanging on nails. And we got a
And
permit to shoot there.
is
And
there an understanding of why it was left abandoned so suddenly?
yeah, it was a very brutal place to live in the winter. Pretty extreme temperatures, tons of snow. And there was a bit of a mechanical revolution happening, and they were bringing in more machinery that was replacing jobs. So they were hiring fewer people, and then they started to run out of gold. So everyone was there for the gold money, and fewer people were getting the jobs, and then the gold was kind of gone. And then there was this fire that burned up um, a good portion of the town, and it still was operating after that. And even after the fire, it still has the most standing structures anywhere in the United States for a ghost town. Huge place.
It's just amazing that, it's like Pompeii. I mean, Pompeii had this,
Right.
a volcano and everybody fled instantly. And this to see all these belongings still, laid out the way they are, it's so odd. It seems like there was a sudden catastrophe, but This seems more like a gradual one.
Yeah, and it's very eerie to visit.
Yeah.
And the park rangers they preserve it, they keep it in what they call a state of arrested decay. So they're like propping things up as they start to crumble and just
Mm,
trying to keep it as it is. Um, and that was really inspiring and something interesting that happened and kind of the inspiration for the short. People were coming to and stealing artifacts from Bodie. And there were a couple of townspeople who had stayed behind who were trying to protect it, but then they left and it became a state park. And the park rangers invented a myth that if you stole from the park, those items were cursed and that horrible things would come to you if you stole items. Um, and so they made that announcement kind of and started spreading this rumor. And then they got this flood of artifacts being returned to them in the
mm.
mail with long letters.
Oh,
These
amazing.
horrible
Yeah.
things have happened to my
Oh, dude.
family. Um,
Wow.
it's all because I stole this thing.
Wow.
And so they came out and publicly were like, we made up the curse. The curse
Yeah.
is not
Wow.
real.
Far out.
And I think one of the most interesting things about that is that they said, they can't put those artifacts back now. Once you have taken something out of the park, you've changed its context and it no longer belongs there. They can't put it back.
Hmm. It's interesting.
And yeah, so that's really interesting concept, just that things are
Well, they
once
can't
you
vouch for
remove
the
it.
authenticity of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like it's broken or just not
Hmm.
the same. It's changed forever.
Mm.
So they have this like separate kind of museum for artifacts that have been
Right.
taken and
Yeah.
returned,
Yeah. Sure.
is how they dealt with that. But there's tons of paperwork involved. Anyway, so our story kind of deals with these two friends who are returning to the park. One of them has taken something and she believes she's cursed, and so she's trying to go back and break the curse.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly an element of friendship there in that story. The theme of the story is this curse and this belief system, as well as this tampering with the natural order of things in some way, and a respect for the generational kind of continuity. And then there's also very kind of thou shalt not steal, and there is theft. And in any sort of religious context, there is the law, prohibition, a discipline, but in various religious contexts of not stealing something. This, if it's not yours, possession. And so possession goes into the context of greed, and possession goes into the context of coveting. And all of a sudden, this kind of theft broaches a number of other things that aren't good for us that have been stated by our ancestors, right? So here we are going against the ancestral order of things who, have kind of given us a context for a right sense of living or a virtuous sense of living or whatever, however we may define it, guidance some way. So we've gone against it, and this character is feeling the effects of it. Where has you've got this beautiful, obviously, it's a great setting for a film, very, interesting and unique. And then, but your involvement in it, your investment, your emotional investment, how does that come from your history
Hmm. Emotional investment. I
in
mean,
these topics that you're exploring, what you're trying to get at here, what you're trying to, your own satisfaction, what's that connection coming from your own experience?
that's such a great question, and I love the way you brought up all of this like religious context to it, because I think that really explains well the texture and the context. I mean, I think what for me emotionally, what I love the most about the film is the kind of switch. So, like you mentioned, friendship. Friendship is a big theme for me in film, and especially when Britt and I are working together because we're so close and have so much love for each other. Um, but in the beginning of the film, one character believes she's cursed, and she's kind of over the top about it, and she's really leaning on her friend who is the rock for her. And then at one point in the script, it flips, and the other friend is the one who needs to be kind of brought along and needing help. And it's for me, it's kind of like the leaning on each other aspect that I really connect with emotionally. Um, and yeah, like do the right thing, don't steal. Like those, I hold those values strongly in my life as well. So just um, trying to put something right, making a mistake and trying to put it right um, is a big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that,
Oh yeah, no, that's
yeah.
good. I think that's a big one for everyone. How do we rectify some sort of harm that we may have done to ourselves or to others? And that's a lifelong learning process. You can't get away from that as a human being.
Yeah.
And, and leaning on friends, with relation to the narrative and how the narrative strung as a storyline and the themes that it's dealing with. To dive a little more, there's the context between the two friends where one is a believer of a greater force that's being put upon them and some form of justice saying this, you have behaved inappropriately, and this needs to be right. And so she's and her friend who is supportive doesn't believe that, right? She's still supporting her, but she's going along and she's not a believer of that. However, she's drawn to great lengths to be a friend. And then they go back and the roles switch, the tables are turned. One is released from her curse by rectifying the situation. The other one does something that is against the order of things, and she really, gets the effect of it and sees it for herself. So with that, and with that context, and the context of belief systems, retribution, punishment, making it right. Now that you've written the film, directed it, you've seen it, now you're observing it. That film, whether, the art reaches millions of people, is awarded and Oscars are handed out or not, the real satisfaction comes from your appreciation, your own intrinsic value of how you assess your own work. So, what is the message that you see your work teaching you?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, to address what you were saying a moment ago about the difference of the two friends, one of them believing in it, I mean, I think it does speak to intent and remorse. The first friend believing that she really has done something wrong and going all of this way, and through great suffering, audible suffering, she really wants to put it right and in a deep way. And you see her be released after that. Whereas the other friend, she does she does indicate that she wants to turn back, but it's not because she believes she's done something wrong, that she believes in the order of things. She doesn't want to be punished. And I think that detail, the intent, the reason why, is ultimately why she gets sucked in. And I think appreciating it now, I think I there's a lot that I really love about this film, and one of it is you said the setting, and that's it to me that's pretty deep because this place is not going to be around forever. It is the longest standing, but these buildings will collapse. And so to know that we've done something that will honor pieces of that, that we can see this 100-year dust over these artifacts in this place, in this way is very special to me. The comedy that comes through, I mean, I get an immense amount of satisfaction every time it makes me laugh. There's some moments in it that are totally ridiculous, and some subtle things that really tickle me. Um, yeah, so I think like that's what I enjoy the most when I watch it now, and especially when I get the opportunity to watch it with an audience and hear other people's reaction to it. I think it's interesting how differently it plays with different audiences. I've seen it now at some festivals, and I think my favorite screening I just had here in Seattle, at Seattle Open Arts Place, and the the people there just were really keyed in and felt I just could feel them on the ride, and they got the comedy. They were spooked in the right places, and that is just so satisfying. Just to, I mean, any art, it's like you just want to feel something and give the gift of what you feel to someone else, and then we have this shared experience, these shared feelings together. And I think that's what I initially fell in love with theater for, is for that shared experience. So with filmmaking, you don't really get that until so much later. So to be in a room full of people who are all kind of feeling the same thing at the same time, there's something really cathartic about that and super satisfying.
Totally, totally. Thank you. You know, it may it may still be early, in your process of just screening the film. Um, in terms of, I wonder how did the work and the reflection on the theme, I often think of it as like a research dissertation, like you've looked at this topic, you've kind of, laid out these plot points, you look at what are possible actions between the two characters and takeaways and the, dichotomy in terms of how the characters are reflecting one another's choices, and then you lead your life after having committed to this thing, but then time, dust happens, and what's left. What's left of that filmmaking experience? What's left of that filmmaking process? And for me, I think it's like, well, what did I learn that changed my life that will inform the course of my actions in the future? And so I guess that's the question that I pose to you is, have you something that you're left with that changes the course of your actions? Something, whether it's a beacon or an anchor or however.
Mm. Yeah, I think that the through line of love and friendship, is, I mean, I anything I make, I want it to have that, like the meaning of life for me is love. And it's crystal clear, and I want that to be, kind of the base or the pillar, the anchor, anything like what ultimately shines through. And I think that both the films I've made with, and I'd love to say that this film and the first short we made, Wrap Me in a Sheet, it was just me, Britt Harris Naik now, and Ian Stout was the DP and sound person, and we just made both of these films with just the three of us.
Wow,
So
awesome.
there's the theme of helping your friends through something difficult, in this, and then there was like the reality of making it, which was very much that. It's we shot Ghost Town in 5 days. It was hot. It was like we were in Bodie. It was brutal weather. Um, and it's a lot to do with just three people, but also we had so much fun. We were grateful every day for the opportunity to be where we were. We were definitely aware of how special the experience was. We were thanking the ghost of Bodhi every day, laughing a lot and just like really enjoying the process, enjoying each other's company. And we're really proud of what we made together. And of course, there's all these things that I would do differently if I could do it again. And definitely cringy moments when I'm watching it where I still want to tweak. But to have that encapsulated, kind of bottle that joy and love that we have for each other and um, get to remember it and experience it all over again every time we watch that. I think that it has helped me know that filmmaking is such a long process. It's so slow. Um, and who you choose to work with is like who's going to be your family for the next 1, 2 years. Like you really go through crazy ups and downs and you just like hold on to each other for dear life. Sometimes it's really happening with this feature film I'm working on right now. And I think that the people that we chose for the team, um, we all just really love each other and appreciate each other and listen. And we're doing such an incredible job collaborating and respecting everyone's point of view and really just trying to find the best way forward that's going to bring this little idea to the best it can be. So yeah, that love and camaraderie and just like staying focused on what actually matters. Um, I learned I learned the importance of all of that in these films and with these two people who I just love to death.
Awesome. What a beautiful process. Molly Muse, thank you so much. Filmmaker, writer, director, also producer. Ghost Town is the short film we've been talking about today. Much more Molly. We will throw links down and all sorts of stuff. Molly, thank you again. Any parting
Thank you.
words?
Um, no, just get it. Yeah, I hope everybody's getting out there and doing what they love.
Yeah, amen to that. Thank you, Molly. All right, everybody,
Bye.
we're out. Oh, we got to mention Kaylee Quinones.
Kaylee,
Kaylee, thank you for your nomination. All right,
speaking of people I love.
that's it.
Bye.
Bye. Peace. All right, we did it.